Hello, this is Ryan from Building Body, Mind, Soul here at imartialartsonline.com, and we have another edition for our adult martial art and fitness program using functional martial arts, integrated styles, and having our calisthenics and body weight built in because, while everybody loves to train, probably the biggest thing you should be worried about is cardiovascular disease. Nobody wants to hear it. Everybody wants to talk about how to go ahead and take care of 5 guys in a parking lot, that all have like super hand-to-hand experience that have just turned bad people, like on a Friday night alone, and so all that is great talk. But really the biggest thing is train, exercise, sweat, get your cardio in so you don't have a stroke or heart attack. I will tell you that's like 10 to 1 odds of the things you should be worried about. So anyhow, but in staying with the idea of functional training, I will go ahead and kind of share one of my favorite things today, which is going to not look like a lot, but it is a lot if you pay attention and you focus. And that is the idea of jab, cross, roundhouse, and everybody's seen this, but the basics win, the simplest stuff works, and it's how you're doing the simplest stuff that is like night and day crucial difference of working. And the really real truth is, and then we'll go through a couple quick training drills for our chambers, doing our idea of tempering, body tempering. But to start with, instead of losing the momentum on a jab, there's nothing wrong with traditional Western boxing, but this idea that the jab is going to go ahead and go first and you can cover a lot of distance and ground. The truth is, in real life, definitely with multiple people, but even if it's somebody who's just really fast and has somewhat hand-to-hand talent, through whatever training they got in stand-up training, fighting, in real life, the actual truth is you don't want to waste your jab on your first move if somebody's coming at you hard and fast, because in fact, your biggest, bestest punch to deliver, in our case, palm heel punch, is going to be your cross. And so it's how do you get the cross there the fastest? Well, you can still go ahead in the mechanics and the physics, and you can still go ahead and use the momentum from your rear leg and come off and go. But what I would suggest is, and again, this is not condoning any kind of violence whatsoever, martial arts, in all her best form is self-defense for whatever style you come from, whatever hand-to-hand field you've been in. But actually, you can use the jab. Again, real life self-defense, not tournament training, right? You can go ahead and you can use that as a quick finger rake to go ahead and reach the eyes. You have your thumbs are tucked, so realistically you have 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of daggers or spears against 1, 2 targets. And so that's a pretty good odds ratio, right? Like 4 bullets and 2 targets. I think you probably make something connect. And that 1 comes before the 2. And you'll notice it's more of a semicircle. This is the story nobody talks about that people keep quiet in Eastern hand-to-hand real-life functional boxing, is this idea that you can go ahead and make that first thing. It's not going to have a lot of power to it, but has anybody here ever gotten a piece of sand or eyelash in their eye? Didn't take a lot of power to get that in your eye, but it irritated the heck out of you. So in real life self-defense, it's a really easy thing to just say, you don't need the power. What you need is the speed. And so the speed for this one on the 1 comes before the 2, and the 2 is power. You'll notice high guard defense, chin to chest, that should go without saying, and high guard because you care more about this. Common question people get, like, I can see you through my hands, right? But I can go ahead and when I strike, you really can't easily make out my face, and you're going to have a hard time getting good, clean shots through there as it drops. And the face mask, or what we call the face mask, the lead hand that always retracts back, and then vice versa, the forward hand can go ahead and retract back again. So something like this, that lead hand, or the front hand, whatever hand is out striking, returns back. And you should have that tested so that if you're sparring with somebody, you can go 1, 2, 3, and every time when you go and you strike, you should make sure somebody actually lands a clean shot into your face mask there. Because if it's just very flimsy and weak, right, and I go 1, 2, 3, and this hand is very weak, it's just, you're gonna get knocked out right through your hand. That happens all the time also, in tournament and real life. So you would want to go ahead and you want to have some form behind your hand. The best way I've ever heard it described is the idea of a thick, heavy tree branch. So that tree branch is movable with tension. It's not like a rock, it's not like stone that doesn't move at all. You don't want to be like that because then people can start manipulating muscle against you. So don't be silly and do that. But don't let it be like so weak and whimsical that it can just, be easily knocked down. You need to have some structure and some firmness and tension to it. So think of like the thick tree branch analogy. I hope that helps. That's the best one I've ever heard for that concept. So 1, 2, 3, and from there it's going to be the snap. So it's 1 fast, 2 snap, 3, just like that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and then just practice the other side. Same thing. So it comes out in a little semicircle, drops, strike, drops, strike. From here, slow motion, 1, 2, 3. All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And I stay facing. So I face the person head on. 1, 2, 3. So what happens is when we strike, people, the only thing that's, you should develop your core, number 1 anyways, but number 2, even if you get hit in the solar plexus, people are like, oh, but your solar plexus, right, where you get the wind knocked out of you, like that's wide open. But yeah, but you know what's also going to be wide open on them as I face them? If they try to go ahead and get close enough to hit here, their face, because one of their 2 hands in their guard has to drop down to hit me here. And so if it's a question, using my brain and logic, and hopefully your brain and logic, even if you don't have full contact experience background in sparring, but you should know what would be a little scarier. A good hard strike to here or a good hard strike to here. It's going to be the face every time. It's going to be worse. So that's why you're in high guard. 1, 2, 3. That's what that is. And so you're facing the person. And the other quick question, well, what about the groin? Which is a fair question, but that's why you get good when you practice in real time about front knee checking. 3 words, front knee checking. That's how you handle that in a square front stance. Good? Makes sense? So moving on to, so that's it, right? That's the thing. I would practice 100 times a day if I could go back again, this one first thing in my foundation, in my base. I don't care what style you do, it's fine, BJJ, Krav Maga, or, doing hand-to-hand training, combat stuff, or just Western boxing, or Taekwondo, or Muay Thai, or blah, 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 anything, I don't care. Just go ahead and practice on that. 1, 2, 3. Yes, I use open hand. You can go ahead and see all of our amazing stuff at IamMartialArtsOnline.com to explain why this over this. Took a lot of years and training and getting to work in different countries and meet different people from all walks of life to develop this over this. It's not wrong if you want to punch. You can still do a similar idea if you want to punch and just focus on turning the front punch into the finger flick. Finger flicking, like this, it is not at all, there are people who do that. They know how to do that in, Western boxing all the time. So that's not like that's alien to them. They know that. So let's go ahead and start with our first chamber, which is one of my favorites, and the idea of the quick on feet, leaping with weights. So traditionally, there's a couple different ways this was taught. The best way I've learned to teach it indoors, because we have to be a little realistic and people aren't going to have access to all this like outdoor stuff. Traditionally, you would have like a small, you could use like just a row of rocks that you would stagger carefully, because you can get a lot of sprained ankles doing this. And you would just have like a couple light weights in your hand. It could be like wrist weights, or maybe you have a couple small dumbbells, a few pounds, whatever. And you would just practice like kind of prancing along and balancing, and that's fine. You need some outdoor space to do that, and you usually would build it in a circular pattern. So you'd actually be doing this kind of quick prancing foot motion on rocks, or stones that you would have circularly spread out, spaced apart for your feet, kind of like almost like a plyometric run, in a circular formation. Now, that's not, you could build that, you could do that outside, all the power to you. What I would say for a lot of people who want to, build it into their regular, typical lifestyle, if you want to do something indoors, it won't ever be as good as that, but it's much better than nothing. I'll say it gets you 50% of the way there, is you can just take a medicine ball or, again, wrist weights or a couple dumbbells, and you can go ahead and just practice this plyometric running pattern indoors in just like a 10 or 12 foot space, which everybody has indoors, going front and back. And so you can pause the video now if you want, and we can go ahead and do that right now. So we have our item or our weight, whatever it is. You can, again, have one in each hand, or I'm just gonna hold this. This is just a small 10-pound medicine ball. And we're gonna go ahead, we're just gonna practice just going back and forth like this. Side to side is the most important to start with. And if you do that for a minute or a couple minutes, that can get tiring quickly. And then you can go ahead, not with side to side, then you can go turn it more into a plyometric run, going front to back. All right. Front to back, you can do that in 60-second cycles, and you can have like 30 seconds in between. And if you do, that's going sideways, right? And then the forward backwards run. And then you can also do it with a shuffle. So same thing, you can go ahead and you can just go ahead and turn it into a shuffle. Sideways. Good. And you're staying on the balls of your feet as you do it. And that is a great way to go ahead and to start the idea of that quick foot, light foot training they do in the Shaolin chambers. And there's a lot more to that, but that is a good start. So for an indoor training program, what I might suggest is the 3 cycles we just did, the side to side, front to back plyo run, and then the side shuffle. You could do like 30 seconds each, 30 seconds off, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. You could do, to build up your endurance, 1 minute on, 30 seconds off, 1 minute on, 30 seconds off, so on and so forth, and go for like 3 rounds total. Like if that, doing all 3 is 1 set, do like 3 rounds or 4 rounds total. And it's a good little anaerobic workout too. So that is that. Also, it goes without saying, before you ever do any kind of jumping around with weights, you would do a nice dynamic warm up, so no ankle injuries, right? And let's go ahead and we'll do our second chamber piece. So you can do this in a horse stance. You can also do this in a wall sit for those whom are wrestling fans, right? You can just go ahead and wall sit like this, or you can go ahead and just do a modified horse stance like this, if you like this. Again, chest up, legs, knees bent, okay? No caving in like this, out like this. And we're gonna go ahead, chest up, and turn it, get the top. Tighten, breathe out. Stay strong here too. Breathe that right out. You can do that in 30 to 60 second stints. And good ice rub on top after. Yes, you will get some bumps and bruises. That's fine. I would say, don't go so wild that you go like this and boom, really try to break the bone. I bet if you tried your very hardest, going 1,000%, you could. So I'm not doing that, and you shouldn't either. So go like 50%, 50% or even 30, like a third of your force to begin with. And for just this, you can get away with icing after, that's fine. But if you get really into it, not in this video, I'm not gonna do it, but you'll see people even using wooden to even, we have metal rods, that gets a little crazy. And you would need dit de jiao training external liniment, which is for another class, another talk. So that is the piece today. Hope you enjoy it. We're happy to have new folks checking in, emailing us from around the world. So cool seeing some faces around the world doing our online adult martial art and fitness program. Welcome, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Take care, guys.